Hello, and welcome to the Larner College of Medicine. Thank you for taking the time to watch this recording. My name is Ryan Gates, and I am the Assistant Director in Medical Student Financial Services. This is the Financing Your MD Degree webinar. And in today's webinar, I'm going to be discussing kind of high-level overview of what you can expect from student financial services while you are here in Larner College of Medicine, along with what you can expect short-term as far as getting ready to start making payments, setting up your financial aid, talk a little bit about our financial wellness program. Hello, and welcome to Financing Your MD Degree. My name is Ryan Gates, and I am the Assistant Director in Medical Student Financial Services. Thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation. This is going to be a high-level overview of what Medical Student Financial Services has to offer, along with some financial expectations that you can have over the coming months and coming years. Hello. Thank you for taking the time to watch this session. My name is Ryan Gates, and I am the Associate Director in Medical Student Financial Services. And this webinar is about financing your MD degree. So today we're going to talk about our pathway to the financial wellness, which is our wellness program that I oversee here in Medical Student Financial Services. We'll talk about billing and financial aid cycles, cost of attendance and financial aid budget, your FAFSAs, frequently asked questions, internal and external scholarships, your educational loans, and your action items. There'll be quite a bit of information that I go over here. What's nice about a recording is that you can pause at any time, and also you can feel free to reach out to me at any point in time. And here's my contact information. I have a full-time satellite office here in the Office of Medical Education in the Given Courtyard. I have a unique hybrid position where I work in the Student Financial Services main area, yet I am dedicated to servicing and working with medical students. Our main office is in the Waterman building on main campus. So our financial wellness for our medical students, our pathway to financial wellness. In this, it's kind of a holistic process from the moment that you walk in until you graduate. We have certain touch points, starting with a one-on-one entrance counseling that we will do here shortly prior to you matriculating. It is a mandatory counseling session. It'll be with myself or another colleague of mine. They're about an hour long, and you'll start to see the Sign Up Genius availability here shortly. It starts in early June and runs throughout the summer into early fall. And then we'll have a mid-curriculum check-in where we will check in halfway through your curriculum while you're rising up into your third year. And then we have an exit counseling session called our senior series. And in that's the spring semester of your final year, where we will start to prepare you for that transition into residency. And we'll talk about loan and debt management, repayment plans, and kind of help you along the way at that point in time. And in between those sessions, we will have sessions of creating a financial plan or creating a spending plan, the old-fashioned terminology of a budget. That's really big. I will concentrate on that quite a bit as you enter into the school, and getting that budget ready and prepared for that transition for you. We will go over credit counseling. We offer sessions in credit counseling and debt management as well. And you're welcome to see me at any point in time throughout your career here at the Larner College of Medicine, and I'm happy to assist with any of these topics. We also will have guest speakers that will come in, a range of topics from talking about financial advising. We have a financial advising panel that's part of the senior series. And we have sessions that come in, talk about disability insurance, and a myriad of other topics as well. WellConnect, you'll have the ability to have a free half-an-hour session with a certified financial planner. And we have that partnership with WellConnect. And those are for questions that are kind of outside of my scope, where if you're looking for some investment advice, high yield savings accounts, things along those lines, we'll defer those questions to our certified financial planner through WellConnect. And it's a free service. And you will see that on our Student Financial Services website. And I have drop-in appointments. I'm here Monday through Friday, 8 till 4:30, and happy to meet with you anytime, either in person or via Zoom. So please do not hesitate to schedule a meeting if you have any questions. So we have a newly formed financial wellness student interest group that is student-led, that started this year. It's a great opportunity for students to empower yourselves in skills and resources to successfully navigate your unique realities as medical students. There'll be financial education opportunities at student-led initiatives. And I'm a part of this program and help with students' questions that they may have help with assigning rooms for these presentations that they have. If you are interested in getting involved in the group, please feel free to reach out to me and I can get you in contact with the leadership groups, the leaders in that group. All right, so soon we will be dispersing the financial aid packages or financial aid offers, and you'll get notification of that through your MyUVM portal and through your MyUVM email address. So you'll get an email that says that you have access to view your financial aid offer. You'll log into your MyUVM portal, and once you log into your MyUVM portal, you will be able to see Student Financial Services section, and that's where you will be able to see your financial aid offer and take actions as well. So this is a peek into the Student Financial Services website. You can see here on the right-hand side, there is financial aid. This is where you can view your award or your financial aid offer. You will also see here where you'll have requirements. If you were to take out some institutional loans or the Graduate Plus loans, there are additional requirements that you will need to complete. This is where you will see that. Direct deposit, this is where you will see the direct deposit for your refunds. You are required to set up a direct deposit so you can receive the funds that will pay for your living expenses. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in some upcoming slides. You'll also have the ability to complete your proxy access here, so you can have a proxy set up. So if you have somebody that may be paying on your behalf, they may want to have access to this billing information so they can set up payments. And then on the left-hand side, this is where you're going to be able to view your bill and your account activity, and you can also make your payments on here as well. This is what the proxy access looks like once you log in. This is what you will do. This is what the proxy access will see. So this is once you set up your proxy and they are going in, this is what the proxy will see to be able to log in for proxy access. And you would supply that to your proxy and they would be able to add and enter in the information as needed to get access to this area. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your tuition billing cycles and what this looks like. Coursework covers from July 1st to December 31st and January 1st to June 30th. For first years, you'll end a little bit before that June 30th time, but these for billing purposes are what you will see, and it's important to realize that when we're talking financial aid and billing cycles, we're looking at 12-month increments, and I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. Charges are added in early to mid-July, so that's when you will start seeing charges added. For the fall semester and for the spring semester, that's early to mid-December. Your financial aid disbursement, so when your funds are dispersed to you for will happen in July in your third and fourth year, and in August in your in your first and second year. It'll be early July and typically mid-August. So this upcoming August, you can expect those funds in the early part of August to disperse, and then you'll receive them in your bank account in mid-August. And then in the spring semester for all classes, it's early January that the disbursement occurs, and you'll receive those funds in mid-January. The payment deadline typically is mid-August in the fall and mid-January in the spring. So what are your billing and payment options? Financial aid is one through scholarships and loans, wire transfers. So if you have someone that's paying on your behalf, monthly installment plans, we do have a monthly installment plan that breaks up the payment. Instead of one large payment that's due in mid-August and January, you can break that up into 5 installments. A one-time payment for a check, you can send in an online payment is typically how I recommend students and families to make payments. A little bit easier than a paper check, a little bit easier to follow that trail. And 529 plans as well. If you have a 529 education fund, that's another way that you can pay for the tuition and fees. Tuition rates are based on residency. It's not based on the number of credits in your schedule or your year in the curriculum. It is based on your residency, whether you're an in-state or out-of-state resident. Full-time tuition is always charged. There's no part-time, unlike grad and potentially undergrad, where you have the opportunity to be part-time. Here, you're either full-time or you're potentially taking a leave. Leave of absence will occur potentially in your career, and if they do, the tuition will be removed and prorated during that leave of absence period. You would meet with me so we could discuss what that looks like as far as how it will affect your financial aid and how it will affect your billing. So if at any point in time a leave of absence is in the cards for you, you'll work with me as well as the student advisors so that you have a full understanding of the financial implications of what that will look like. As I mentioned earlier, semi-annual tuition billing that will occur in mid-August and mid-January. And the bills generate in mid-July, but they're not due until mid-August. And for the spring, they'll be generated in mid-December and due in mid-January. So this is the approximate cost of attendance that we're looking at here. And the reason why I say approximate, the tuition and fees portion right now is has been set. That will not change. Where we will do some changing potentially is within the cost of living expenses. We tend to make adjustments for inflation, and these are the numbers from last year. So we might see some slight adjustments to those final numbers, the 63,442 and the 92,274. But the tuition and the student fees, that will be staying the same. That will not be changing. But just keep an eye out on the Student Financial Services website. I will most likely have those finalized numbers by the end of this month. And we're not talking huge differences here. We're talking maybe upwards of $1,000 change. So don't expect to see a large difference here. Once again, as I mentioned, these are the estimates that we're looking at right now. Okay, so let's talk about your financial aid refund cycles and what that looks like. And when I talk about financial aid refunds, what I'm really speaking to is if you are taking out loans and your loan funds exceed the cost of exceeds the tuition and fees that we just looked at, that credit will be refunded to you. And typically students will use those refunds for living expenses. For first year, the first disbursement and refund will occur in mid-August, and then in early January for your second disbursement. What's really important is that in January, you budget for 7.5 months. You can see here the first disbursement, the difference, the time between the first and second disbursement is 5 months, and then the second disbursement to your third disbursement or your first disbursement in your second year is 7.5 months. So it's really important when you're putting your budget together and you're looking at these cost of attendance numbers and the refund amounts that you will budget for a full 12 months and not necessarily the academic calendar, because your first year you will be done and you have a summer break, which financial aid is not available during that time. So you do need to budget for the full 12 months. The average refund here is about $11,500 per semester. So between $22,000 and $23,000 per year. So now let's move on to your second year, once again, mid-August, and then early January for your 2 disbursements there. The difference going into your third year is that when you're going into your third year, the refund occurs in mid-July, disbursement in early July, refund in mid-July. So it's 6 months as opposed to that 7.5 months between your first and second year. And then in your third year, early July for the disbursement, you receive the refund in mid-July, and then same in January, early January disbursement, you'll receive them in early January disbursement, mid-January is when you'll receive the refunds in your account. And then fourth year, same as third year, it'll be early January disbursement, mid-January refund, and then early July disbursement, early July. I'm having fun with all these J's. Mid-July disbursement, and then early January and mid-January for your fourth year. Sorry, I confused that a little bit more, but I think you get the gist of how the disbursements and the refunds will work. So here it goes over, this is a good screen that you can look through. It kind of breaks down what you can expect for refunds. This is what it is now for a current 2026 student to 2023 student. So we will be updating this here shortly, but this gives you an idea of what you can expect as you progress along. You can see what the average refund amounts are. And this page is found on our Medical Student Financial Services website. So the numbers that we looked at a few slides ago, the cost of attendance and those figures, while we do our best to estimate what the costs are going to be for our medical students, we do understand that there are exceptions to that. And there are situations where things change. So you can do a cost of attendance appeal where we could potentially increase your cost of attendance to get you additional funding. Some of those areas we have listed here. Campus health insurance. So if you use the UVM health insurance, we can increase for that, because we do not include the health insurance in your budget, because not everyone takes out UVM health insurance. So if you are receiving that, you want us to increase your cost of attendance, you reach out to me and we can go through that process. If you have dependent care for children, we can look at doing a cost of attendance increase there. You'll have residency prep costs in your fourth year. So you have application fees, you'll have residency interview fees. You may be potentially doing away rotations where there's additional costs. Once again, these are not included in your cost of attendance. So reach out to me and we can go through cost of attendance appeal process. And other miscellaneous potential circumstances would be if you are living alone and your rent is a little bit higher than what we have allotted. Rent is one area where we can make some adjustments. If you need to retake board exams, study materials. So if you have to take study materials and you need some assistance with that. And another one that I talk to students about that happen are vehicle repairs. Not for routine maintenance, but if you have an issue where you go in for an inspection and they tell you that you need 4 new brakes and rotors and it's an unexpected expense, and that's not a routine maintenance, we can do a cost of attendance increase for that. So keep those in mind. So what are some things that we cannot do a cost of attendance increase for? Credit card debt. If you're just tight on money in general, we understand that sometimes when in medical school, it's going to be tight, and you need to be prepared for that and budget accordingly. So we can't just do it because money's tight. You need a little bit of additional income or funding. Purchasing a vehicle, we cannot assist with the cost of purchasing a vehicle. So if you're looking to lease or buy a vehicle, those expenses we cannot increase the cost of attendance for. And losing prior income before school. So if the income that you had before, you're no longer having because you're no longer earning because now you are in school, we cannot do a cost of attendance increase for that either. So now let's talk a little bit about residency classification. As I mentioned earlier, tuition is based on residency, either in-state or out-of-state. The residency applications and regulations are managed by the registrar's office, not by us here at Student Financial Services. We receive the information from the registrar as far as out-of-state, in-state, we bill accordingly, and we ensure that the financial aid totals reflect the correct residency status. And then most of these regulations come from the Vermont State Legislature. If you are matriculating as an out-of-state student, I typically tend to tell students that that's how you're going to remain as you go throughout your time here in the College of Medicine. Very rarely do we see the residency changing from out-of-state to in-state. So any detailed questions that you may be looking to have answered, you want to go through the the registrar's office and their residency program administrator and have those conversations. You can go to UVM's website and look at the residency policy and the application for appeal and that process. One other thing to note, VSAC, who is a local state agency who oversees our Vermont state grants, they have a different definition of what a Vermonter and in-state resident is. So sometimes we see out-of-state students who may qualify for the VSAC grant. Not always, but I always encourage students to reach out to VSAC when you've become a Vermont resident per the Vermont guidelines, and have that conversation and see if you may be eligible for a VSAC grant. And as I mentioned, here's the registrar's information if you're looking to contact the residency officer to have some additional questions answered. Okay, so paying for medical school and kind of what's the best strategy game plan. This is just a little pyramid that I like to use as far as what to use first and what to use last. We'll start at the bottom. Personal resources, any personal resources that you have, that's going to be the best place to start. And then any gift aid, outside scholarships or institutional scholarship or potential state grants, for example, VSAC, as I was mentioning earlier, that Vermont state grant. So the gift aid there, any gift aid that you have. Then we move up to the unsubsidized Stafford loan, which we will see in your financial aid offer if you are going to be completing a FAFSA and taking out federal loans. The unsubsidized loan will have a lower origination fee and a lower interest rate than the next tier up, which is the Federal Graduate Plus loan. So I always tell students, maximize your unsubsidized Stafford loan. And now they're not so much referred to as Stafford loan. You won't see that language. It's the Federal Direct Unsubsidized Loan is what you will see. So maximize those Federal Direct Unsubsidized loans first, and then go to the Federal Graduate Plus loan. And then if you've maxed out your Federal Graduate Plus loan, or you're not eligible for that, then you'd be looking at the private education loans in the private sector. Many banks out there offer private education loans, but I tend to tell students, if you're eligible for federal aid, use federal aid before you're using private education loans. They tend to have more favorable, not so much interest rates, they're probably very comparable there, but the repayment options on the back end are much more beneficial for your federal loans, for income-based repayment plans, for any public service or any loan forgiveness programs that you may have in the federal world that you're not going to see in the private world. Okay, so talk a little bit about federal loans. They're easy to obtain, no credit check or cosigner for the unsubsidized loan. The Graduate Plus loan does have a credit check to it, but the unsubsidized loan does not. All you need to do is complete the promissory note and entrance counseling. You do need to complete a FAFSA. Parent information is not required. The FAFSA is more or less just a formality to be eligible to apply for federal loans. The amounts that you're eligible for is capped by the cost of attendance. The unsubsidized loan, the Department of Ed caps that amount. So, for example, first-year students this year, the unsubsidized loan max amount is $42,722. The Graduate Plus loan does not have a cap on it. So in your financial aid offer, you'll see that maximum unsubsidized loan, and then you'll see the remaining part in a Graduate Plus loan. If you were offered a scholarship, you may also see scholarship funds in that financial aid offer. And education loans are not a bad means. They're not negative. It is something that is, a return on your investment. It's something that you are striving to become a doctor, and this is a way to get there. So you don't necessarily have to look at a loan and see it as being negative. It's something that you're investing in yourself right now, and it will pay dividends in the long run. Easy paperwork, as I mentioned, loan, you sign a master promissory note, and then you do an online entrance counseling session. For the Graduate Plus loan, there is an additional credit authorization piece because it is credit-based, not a credit score. They're not looking at your credit score. They're just looking at your credit report. They'll pull it from one of the 3 major credit bureaus. And as long as there are not any major delinquencies on their bankruptcy, liens, defaulted loans, then you most likely will be approved for that. And as I mentioned previously, they have good repayment options. There's no payments that are due while you're enrolled in school, and you can potentially defer payments while you're in residency. You have entitlements to be able to do that. There are income-based repayment plans while you're in residency. So it's looking at your income, and it's basing your monthly payments based on your income and not on the amount of debt that you have accrued. And then there's the potential for eligibility. One question I get asked a lot is, when does interest start to accrue? Interest will start to accrue on these loans immediately upon their first disbursement. So in August, once those funds are dispersed, they are starting to accrue interest at that point in time. This is where you will go if you have not done so already to complete your FAFSA. You go to studentaid.gov, you log into studentaid.gov's website, and this is where you'll complete the FAFSA. This is also where you will see the master promissory note and the entrance counseling that you'll need to complete. Here's a look at the student loan interest rates. They're fixed interest rates, and there is a possibility to have 8 and maybe even more than 8 loans with different interest rates on each one of those loans if you had loans in undergrad or grad. Here's an example of a little bit of history. Right now, currently, the interest rate is 6.54 and 7.54 for the loans. And this is actually transposed because the unsubsidized loan is 5.2, the Graduate Plus is 6.2, same here, Grad Plus is 7.5 and 6.54. So apologies on that. Those numbers are transposed. You'll always see the unsubsidized loan with a lower interest rate and not the higher interest rate. So I apologize for that. And here is a little bit of information. This is the AAMC National Debt Card. I'm not going to go through it too much, but you can see I highlighted a little bit on the right-hand side. This is data from the class of 2022, excluding any pre-med debt. The median medical school debt was 227,281. The mean was 226,339. The percent with medical school debt is 81,000, or excuse me, 81% of medical students took out debt in the class of 2022. And the average national debt for the class of 2022 was at 200,000, just to give you an idea of what it looks like nationally. So in 21-22, we dispersed $24 million in federal and institutional loans in the College of Medicine, and we had $4.2 million in grants and scholarships of all types. So commonly asked FAFSA question, my income has changed, do I need to document this for you? No, you do not need to document any income changes from when you completed the FAFSA. You're going 2 years back for the FAFSA, and there's most likely changes of your income to your income since then, if you have been earning income. Some of you have worked a little bit. Some of you will be coming right from school, so income would not be there. But as I mentioned earlier, with the FAFSA, it's more or less just a formality to be eligible for the federal loans, because these are non-need-based loans. The Grad Plus and the unsub loans are non-need-based loans. So does it matter what the FAFSA says? No, because you're going to receive the same offer regardless of what the FAFSA says. So whatever income is in there, if you did work, if you did happen to put your parental information in there, that's okay. That's not going to change how much you're offered. Your financial aid offer will be the same regardless of what that income information looks like. Here is that question, do I need to include parental information? No, you do not. If other medical schools do, it may already be on there for you because you've included it in there, and that's okay. It's not going to have effect on your financial aid offer. You can always go in and update it if you want to, but you don't have to. What if you haven't filed your 2022 taxes yet? That's okay, because as I mentioned, we look at 2 years back. So prior, we're looking at your 2021 taxes. And if you did not file taxes, that's fine as well. You just put in there that you did not file your taxes, or you did not earn income in 2021. And how come you can't find the school code for the Larner College of Medicine? And that's because we are housed under the university. The Larner College of Medicine does not have its separate school code. So when you're completing the FAFSA, you'll use the 003696 code, and that will get to us. So let's shift from loans and talk about our recruitment scholarships. And these are the alumni supported recruitment scholarships that we take a holistic approach. We look at academic merit or diversity or socioeconomic background while reviewing scholarships. The admissions department reviews the scholarships. They are the ones that will then send that information to us here in Student Financial Services, and we package that into your financial aid offer. So we do not have any role in the process of reviewing scholarship applications and the awarding of scholarships. So if you do have questions in regards to that, please reach out to the admissions department and I'd be happy to help you. Approximately 15% of accepted students receive a scholarship offer. And there is, an scholarship application within your admissions portal. You're encouraged to complete it, but it is not technically required for you to complete it. I always tell students that are asking about it to go in. It's not going to hurt. It's only going to benefit you. Admissions reviews the applications on a rolling basis, so there's no specific date for me to share of when you may be notified if you did receive a scholarship. The amounts typically range from $10,000 to $60,000 per year. They're renewable for all 4 years. And the rules for eligibility and to maintain eligibility is passing all courses and staying on track within their curriculum. Students are considered prior to matriculation only. These scholarships will not be offered, say, halfway through your curriculum, only prior to that. We do have some additional institutional scholarships that I'll talk about briefly when you are matriculated, but these specific scholarships are awarded pre-matriculation. And the admissions department is who will be communicating those offers to you. All right, so additional alumni supported scholarships that are institutional scholarship, and these are designated for matriculated students. So once you are here, that's when you will start potentially seeing these scholarships. They're very specific typically, and that's why they're awarded once you are here, because the donor fund language is stating, for example, the student has to match into radiology. So that'll be your 4th year after you've matched into radiology. You may see an application come through for scholarships for students that are in radiology. Or there's a student from Brandon, Vermont, for example, and we'll review and see if there are any students that are in Brandon, Vermont. There are students that have a love and a talent for music. So these are all the types of very specific donor fund language that we could potentially see. And what we do is we will solicit applications for this. We're working on a current scholarship application that you would be able to complete once a year and be considered for these based on the criteria and what you complete in that. That's a work in progress, and I would love to be able to have that out fairly soon. But that will make the process of being able to apply for these a little bit easier. So keep an eye out for that. We advertise these on the Weekly Wire, which is our weekly newsletter. And also within the students' activities calendar is where you will see these scholarships advertised. And they range from $500 to typically $10,000. And if you receive one of these in, say, your 2nd year, there's no guarantee that you'll receive them in the 3rd or 4th year, as these are one-time awards. They're not renewable awards like the recruitment scholarship. And then we have department awards that will happen at foundation. So once you complete foundations, there are opportunities for scholarships there, and our senior honors night as well, potentially receive a scholarship for your academic achievements while you're here at LCOM. So non-institutional scholarships, these are scholarships that are outside of the university where you have to kind of do your own digging. They're not anything that we're necessarily going to be seeing. I try and keep a list of outside scholarship opportunities that I post to our Student Financial Services website. So I try and get them out there as much as I can when they come across my plate here. I put them in the Weekly Wire as well. It's really important that if you are awarded an outside scholarship that you do notify us, because we do have to include those in your financial aid offer or your financial aid package. So really important that if you are receiving an outside scholarship that you notify us. And the benefits to any of these scholarships are, regardless if they're in-state or excuse me, not in-state, if they're institutional or non-institutional, is they have a positive effect on your resume and CV. You can go to our website, as I mentioned earlier, to find a list of these outside scholarship opportunities. And there are also federal opportunities as well that they're part of the outside scholarship, but the NHSC, National Health Service Corps, has a scholarship opportunity for students, along with loan repayment programs. Those will be a little bit more geared towards the back end. But we also have the AHEC primary care scholarships that you'll see in your 3rd and 4th year. And these are all listed on that some of them are non-UVM scholarships, some are and opportunities, and some of them are. But if you go to our Student Financial Services website, you will see all of those opportunities. All right, so what are your next steps? So for your loans, you'll want to submit your FAFSA, studentaid.gov. My goal is to have financial aid offers out by late March, early April. So complete the FAFSA, because I'm not able to process your financial aid offer until I have that FAFSA. So if you haven't done it, get on that as soon as possible. And in early summer, we will send out an email that will let you know that you can now take action on those financial aid offers. You can go in and accept loans. And then once you've done that, you can go to studentaid.gov to do the entrance counseling and do the promissory notes that we talked about earlier. Within your MyUVM, set up a proxy if you have someone that will be paying on your behalf. Set up the proxy, just makes things a lot easier so that they can go in on your behalf. They can look at your billing information and they can make it a payment fairly seamlessly. You'll want to sign up for direct deposit. This is required if you want to receive a refund. So go into your MyUVM portal, set up a direct deposit. You want to have your account routing number, your bank account routing number, and your bank account number as well. So routing number and account number from your bank, have that handy, as you'll need that when you set up the direct deposit. And then just start navigating around your MyUVM portal a little bit. That slide that I showed you at the beginning of the presentation will give you a little bit of information. But once you go into your MyUVM portal, you can really start playing around, clicking on there, getting familiar with what the award looks like, or where you're at least going to need to go to get that award, and your billing, so on and so forth. So general student financial services stuff, start thinking about your payment approach and how you're going to finance your MD degree, whether it be a mixture of outside resources and loans, or if it's strictly loans. What does that look like for you? And start thinking about that now. Start thinking about a spending plan, your living expenses budget, and what that's going to look like. I know right now it might be a little bit difficult being a little bit further out, but you can start looking at, okay, what are the cost of apartments in the area? You can go and see what your estimated refund is going to be and start building a budget. You can reach out to me at any point in time, and I'm happy to go over this with you, and start planning what your financing is going to look like, and start preparing for that now. I always say it's never too soon to start this process. And please reach out to me with any questions or any concerns at any point in time, and I'm happy to meet with you. Here's my contact information. Email, give me a call. I have a Sign Up Genius, so if you go to Student Financial Services website and my contact information, there's a link to the Sign Up Genius. I can take appointments that way. You can email me. We can set up an appointment as well. Pretty flexible there. So obviously, we don't have any questions or feedback because you're watching this as a recording. But thank you so much for taking the time to watch this, and congratulations if you're still watching this at this point. I know it's been a lot of information. It's been long, but it's important information. So thank you very much for taking the time, and I look forward to meeting with you in the future.